walk the audience through what happened there.
Yeah, so once my husband left, I just kind of put my head back under the water, just got lost in that world because it's like a whole different vantage point when you're watching from that perspective. And we think it had only been about 10 minutes or so from the time he left to when I all of a sudden I felt like I had slammed into something. And that actually was the thought that went through my mind was, oh, what did I bump into? So I turned to my right casually to see, what I had bumped into, and I was face to face with a shark. And he had my whole arm in his mouth. That was the bump I felt, was him grabbing onto my arm. I have a scar. You can't really see it very well now, like through there, but it's
I can see the indentation a little bit.
So that you can feel like the tooth mark of where he first latched on there. So that's kind of to give you perspective. That's how close we were. Like when he first latched on, we were face to face.
Wow.
And of course, it felt like time stood still and yet was all a blur all at once. Like it was very distorted. I ended up having like visions of my kids playing in the backyard with my husband, like memories of my life started to kind of populate and like a movie reel. And I felt almost like a giving up, like a releasing, like my body was giving up. But then I felt the strength of the Lord just come out from inside of me and give me the strength to fight back. And I remember like pushing those thoughts back. And the new thought that formed was, no, you are not going to take my life. I am not going to die here. And it was like that fight, came back in me. And so at that point, we were just kind of sitting there. He had me pinned, but his eyes were like darting everywhere and then staring and then darting everywhere and then staring. It was just evil, eerie, like face off. But then once I yanked my arm, that's when it began to be, it was like game on for him, right? So he's fighting, thrashing. I'm screaming through my snorkel tube. Everybody asked me, what'd you do with your left hand? I don't remember. It was just so much commotion, so much thoughts and things going on that I can't recall what I did with my left hand. But I was yanking, trying to get free from him. But of course he had me pinned. There was nowhere to go. And that snorkel tube is, in my mouth still. So I'm screaming, but you can't really hear it from, out. Like everybody, all you can hear is that, sound. It's not loud enough to draw attention. So unbeknownst to me, my husband had actually gotten sick 3 times in a row on the boat. And so the captain was distracted trying to, clean that up. My husband jumps back in the water to clean himself off. So all of that's happening while I'm fighting for my life. So nobody knew what was going on. And so when I finally got free from him, I was just yanking and his jaws kind of opened on one of those yanks. And my arm just came flying out and it was completely severed, like just a mangled stump, not hanging there, just gone. So of course, I'm just in shock at that point. Like my arm's gone, but God gave me the strength and the capacity to keep moving because I was already at the surface of the water. So I just threw off my snorkel mask. I screamed out, help me, Jesus. And I began to make my way back to the boat. That was my dominant arm. So I had my non-dominant arm just swimming as quickly as I can. I took a few strokes and I remember thinking, you got to get the injured arm out of the water. And so I just kind of like lifted my injured arm up. And that then began to like spray everywhere. Like it was like, I remember seeing it. Yeah. From my peripheral vision. Like it was literally just like Old Faithful. And that's the sight my husband saw when he was coming out of the water to wash himself off. He heard me scream and then he saw me swimming back with my arm just spewing blood everywhere. And I remember locking eyes with him, and the terror in his eyes are like nothing I'll ever see. It again, it's an eerie terror in his eyes. And he screamed out, baby! And he jumped in the water. And then I'm thinking, okay, he's coming for me, but that shark's right behind me. Like you think about all the facts about sharks, it's all going through my head at that point. Like, drop of blood makes them go crazy. Where there's one, there's usually more. So all I could think about is he's right behind me, going to grab my leg, grab my side, grab my other arm. And so I'm just literally just swimming as quickly as I can to get to that boat. And I made it most of the way before my husband even met me in the water. And he said, as he like got closer, he heard me praying, and that was just coming out of me.
Of course. Yeah.
It just, even right now, just thinking about that just makes me emotional, because I'm thinking, what you put in comes out, you know, like it was literally, it was like involuntary, you know, it was just coming out of me. That was my lifeline. And so we finally got to the ladder of the boat, and my husband kind of just, before I could even like touch it really, he was launched me out from the water.
Yeah.
And once I got in the boat, I felt a peace surround me. Like, I can't really explain it. It was a cloud of peace. I knew that the Lord was there. And I was very urgent, but I wasn't panicked, you know?
Right.
And I just told him, you got to get something to stop the bleeding. And we found out there's no med kit, no tourniquet. So we used the beach towels that the cruise line gives us, and use that to kind of tourniquet my arm. And then it was a 30-minute-ish boat ride back. We made a stop at Paradise Island, but there's no hospital there. So we had to back the boat out, go an additional 20 minutes from there. So altogether, it was about a 30-minute boat ride to the main port. And once out of surgery, the surgeons told my husband that, you know, I was in critical condition, but the miracle of it all was that I didn't require a blood transfusion. They said I didn't lose enough blood. So
that's wild to me, right? Like,
just